The State of Israel has continued her closed borders policy and has strengthened her border control and continues to be committed to protecting her citizens at any cost. With these closed borders, the State of Israel is not receiving any immigrants at this time, regardless of their religion or ethnicity. With these closed borders policy has come a natural change in the resources available to the citizens of Israel. And instead of allowing this deficit to harm our nation, we have instead taken this as an opportunity to improve our agricultural infrastructure, especially in the Negev regions. Doing so will not only allow for the proper supplies and goods to be delivered to the citizens in Israel, but it will increase employment, thereby strengthening our national economy. On another note, the Israeli cabinet is excited to announce that we have begun selecting a Muslim member for our cabinet in order to best represent the diverse population of Israel. Additionally, in order to, like I said, best represent the diverse...
All right, questions?
Yes.
You said you would be accepting civilians of both Arab and Jewish descent. What has changed your opinion? What has changed your policy that you had stated last night?
Last night, I stated that in the future, we will be accepting immigrants of regardless of their ethnicity or religion. But at this time, for as long as we have our borders closed, which will be until we feel that we can control the Arab conflict, we will continue to limit immigration to all those wishing to enter. Yes.
What specific agricultural infrastructure has the cabinet?
So we have shifted our attention to developing in two major regions. The first being, so the Negev is a very arid desert. So we have been focusing on ways in which we could farm the desert, which can be increasingly difficult. But we have expanded our bean and corn and cactus flower crops with hopes that we'll be able to grow these crops successfully despite the difficult conditions. Yes.
Are Jewish diaspora able to enter Israel at the moment?
Not at the moment, no.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Next will the United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom is currently working to establish peaceful ties with the state of Israel through embassies in Tel Aviv and in London, and implementing British education for their development. On another note, we are making progress in India and Pakistan. The UK is remaining neutral and moderating the peace talks. We are calling for a ceasefire in which both countries will pull troops from the Kashmir region. We want the result of this dispute to benefit both sides. Thank you.
So when you say you're moderating the peace talks, do you mean that both countries are willing to talk peace?
Yes, both countries have shown a willingness to talk peace, and we are currently remaining neutral, so we are moderating, yes.
At what point is the solution with Kashmir benefiting both India and Pakistan? How is that benefiting the people of Kashmir? What solutions are you doing to benefit them?
That is what we're trying to figure out now. That's why we are engaging in the peace talks, to discuss how we can find a compromise that would hopefully benefit both countries.
Is the UK at all providing aid to those affected?
The UK is trying to do its best to possibly have some humanitarian aid, but we are staying away from military aid to remain neutral.
So in the ICAG, the representative from the UK was saying there were no more funds left. How are you returning these funds?
Well, we did recently pass a directive that brought our economy up immensely. Well, hopefully immensely. However, we are engaging in peace talks, a little more than that, and it is also why we are inspiring peacekeepers to come into the area instead of our own military, which is also another attempt to remain neutral.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
Indian Delegate?
I'd like to start off by giving my condolences for all of Pakistan and the family of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who passed very recently. He was, influential leader in the freedom movement for both Pakistan and India, and a true friend for a long time to our Prime Minister Nehru. However, they do have those differences which are being addressed today at a summit led by the United Kingdom and the permanent members of the Security Council. And we're calling upon these members to side with the instrument of accession, which is the only legitimate way for princely states to accede to either India or Pakistan. And the instrument of accession was signed to India, making Kashmir legally ours. And finally, I would like to clear up a misconception regarding the previous press delegate, who apparently made some statements about ethnic cleansing. We do not support ethnic cleansing in any way. He probably misspoke, and we have not conducted any ethnic cleansing in the Kashmir region or anywhere in India.
Time for questions.
What is India doing to help those who have been affected by this conflict? If they're doing anything at all?
So we've used the Minister of Rehabilitation to send in supplies and such, and we're also calling for a temporary ceasefire to allow civilians to leave the region before fighting can resume.
I have an anonymous source that said that Pakistan has successfully taken over Kashmir. Do you have any comments on that?
They have not taken over all of Kashmir.
Any further questions from the press?
In what interest are you taking to mind the people of Kashmir? Like, how are you ensuring that you are respecting them to the fullest extent?
Like I said, we're calling. We are trying to get a ceasefire such that they can, exit the region, or if they want to. This is not forced in any way.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate from Pakistan?
After the passing of our Governor General, General Abdur Khan is acting as our interim head of state until the cabinet decides upon a permanent replacement that would be best for the people. President of Azad Kashmir has officially joined Pakistan as the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. So, as much as India would like to claim that Kashmir has not joined Pakistan, we have fully liberated the people, and through self-determination, they have chosen to side with Pakistan. India has seized the Indus River Valley, which has cut off our main source of necessities for our innocent civilians. We find this attack, especially during a time of mourning, completely disgusting and an infringement on our sovereignty and the rights of the Pakistan people. We are communicating with the UN Security Council to express our concern over India's actions and their history of ethnic cleansing. Thank you. Any questions? Yes?
I know you mentioned ethnic cleansing. The previous delegate from India mentioned that there was no such ethnic cleansing. Do you have a comment?
Yes, that is not true. There has been ethnic cleansing. There have been reports of ethnic cleansing. And while some of it has been Muslims towards Hindus, those events have taken place in Indian regions. Yes?
How has Pakistan attempted at all to reach out to India with the moderator of the UK for these peace talks?
We are currently in the midst of talking with India, and yes, UK is present in these talks, but so are other states. Yes.
You said that some of the ethnic cleansing that took place in India was Muslims against Hindus.
Mhm.
How do you plan on, if Jammu and Kashmir is successfully fully annexed and recognized by India, how do you plan on making sure that further ethnic cleansing does not continue under Pakistani rule?
Well, I'd like to say the government does not condone in any way any sort of ethnic cleansing, and we will be doing our best to unite the people and teaching religious
Thank you,
tolerance.
Delegate from the USSR?
The USSR is proceeding with developing the industry and economy within its borders and of its socialist brothers. We are also working on developing our international relations in order to continue spreading our nation's ideologies with the global community. Due to the insult to Stalin as well as their tendency to impede communication and negotiation, the USSR would like to formally disclose that there will be no further association with the country of India. The USSR is happy to announce the new alliance between the Soviet state and the Arab Union and will be aiding them in further issues.
So, by joining an alliance with the Arab League, does that mean military intervention in Palestine?
We have not discussed yet specifically how this union will work. However, there is one established.
How does the USSR plan to address the issues of the Sunni and Shiite Muslims inside the actual Arab League and the conflict that it creates?
We have not discussed this either.
What does the USSR seek in gaining from the alliance with the Arab Union?
Again, like I previously said, we are continuing to develop our international relations and to spread our nation's ideologies, and that is one major element of that, along with possible other economic interactions.
Do you truly believe that communism and Islam, specifically the declaration of jihad, truly align with each other if you're trying to spread your ideology?
I believe that communism is great, and so is our leader Stalin. I cannot say anything related to this.
Next, we'll have the United States.
So the United States is proud to announce that we have made great strides in our creation of the Organization of Democratic Nations, or ODIN. There was a summit today in which there was much enthusiasm shown by the international community for such a creation of a military organization, and there will be another summit tomorrow in order to really discuss the nitty-gritties of this organization. In terms of really the specifics, there will be a rough draft of the charter written by the United States that will be available for the press after, in the mingling phase. This is subject to negotiation. However, we hope that this document will be really the framework for what we hope to accomplish here. Furthermore, the United States would like to further state its support for Israel, and that we have been supplying Israel with humanitarian aid for the suffering people there. We do, however, support that the borders of Israel remain as they are now with the inclusion of the city of Jerusalem. Any questions? Yes.
How are you ensuring that Odin just does not become another communist hit squad?
Can you rephrase your question, please?
How are you ensuring that Odin, the military organization that you are creating,
Yes.
does not just become a communist hit squad?
What this is really a force to protect democracy and self-determination around the globe. I mean, in terms of comparing it to a communist hit squad, I don't really understand how you got to that analogy. What this really is, like I said, an international military organization that will be run by prominent democratic nations in order to protect democracy and freedom across the globe. And if you want the specifics, I'll be glad to give you a copy of the draft of the charter. Any other questions? Yes?
If this is not going to become a non-communist hit squad, can you give any examples of non-communist forces you would like to oppose using Odin?
I mean, another thing of Odin is going to be giving humanitarian aid to suffering people.
In communist countries?
Not necessarily in communist countries, but in places like Israel and the Indian-Pakistan conflict, being able to help them. Any other questions? Yes.
What does the U.S. side with in the India-Pakistan conflict?
Currently, we have announced our support for India. However, specifics of that are not available to disclose at this time.
Thank you, delegate.
Thank you.
At this time, you'll be escorted into the green room.